Is your mic on?
She said, "Is your mic?"
Your mic's not on, Jim.
Mic's off.
That's why she was.
Here.
There's like walls here, so.
Hey, Mayor Wood.
He's here.
Yes, here.
He wants us to PJ got the first,
Yeah.
Okay.
Here.
There we
Mayor
go.
St. Joe. You're here. Councilmember Kern?
Absent. No. Yeah, I'm here.
Councilmember Feline. Councilmember Feller.
Okay, so council will meet in closed session to discuss item 2A, conference with real property negotiator involving the .74 acres of vacant property located on Yucca Road. Negotiating party City of Oceanside, Kukula Incorporated, under negotiations of price and terms for the sale of the property. Item 3A, conference of legal counsel on existing litigation in the matter of Dunex Inc., Cavalier Mobile Estates versus City of Oceanside. There's no meeting on item 1.
Adjourn the closed session. I'll be here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this council meeting. Go ahead and open that, and with the roll call, and we break this into two parts, a 4 o'clock and a 5 o'clock one. But Mr. Clerk.
Mayor Wood.
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Sanchez.
Here.
Councilmember Kern.
Here.
Councilmember Feline. Councilmember Feller.
We're here.
Thank you, with that. We'll go on with the consent calendar, please.
Consent calendar items 4 through 7.
Move approval.
Thank you. We have motion second. Any public?
No public on this item.
Okay, please go ahead and vote.
Mayor Wood, if you could vote, please. Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. When you get the opportunity, Mr. Clerk, go on to 8.
Item number 8 is adoption of a resolution of the City Council acting as a legislative body of Community Facility District number 2001-1 of the City of Oceanside, Morrow Hills Development, authorizing the issuance of Community Facilities District number 2001-1 Improvement Area number 1 Special Tax Refunding Bond Series 2014A in a principal amount not to exceed $8 million. Adoption of a resolution authorizing the issuance of Special Tax Refunding Bond Series 2014A in a principal amount not to exceed $12 million and approving certain documents and taking certain other actions in connection therewith.
Thank you very much, Michelle. We put you up early to get rid of these paid attorneys.
We're appreciative of that. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, Michelle Lund, Treasury Manager. I'm here tonight requesting council authorization to issue bonds to refund the Community Facilities District, or otherwise known as Mallory's District, 2001-1 Morrow Hills Development Improvement Area Special Tax Bonds, which were issued in 2004, and, if market conditions permit, to advance refund the CFD 2001-1 Morrow Hills Development Special Tax Bond Series 2004. By refinancing the bonds at a lower interest rate, debt service payments will be lower and provide special tax savings for property owners within the improvement area and the district. As you may recall, the Morrow Hills CFD 2002 series bonds were refinanced this past summer, providing savings for property owners in the CFD. The Morrow Hills CFD is the master planned Arrowwood community in northeastern Oceanside. The improvement area is located within the overall Morrow Hills CFD and was created for the purpose of constructing the elementary school within the community. The bonds will be issued on a private placement basis with Western Alliance Bank. Proposed terms of the improvement area bonds include an estimated par value of $7.3 million to mature in 2033, including a 10-year call provision. The proposed interest rate is indexed at 65% of the 20-year London Interbank Offered Rate, or LIBOR, plus 2.93%. At the time of the bank's proposal, the interest rate was quoted at 4.29%. This rate will be finalized and locked following council approval to issue the bonds. If the bonds were issued at the quoted rate, the net present value savings over the life of the bonds would be approximately $622,000, or 8.47%. We are also seeking approval to issue refunding bonds for the 2004 CFD series bonds, which will be refinanced as long as market conditions hold their current levels. These bonds are not callable until September 1st, 2014. However, we are able to refund them on an advance basis to achieve interest rate savings, especially during a rising interest rate market. If the net present value savings do not exceed the standard 3% savings threshold of the bonds will not be refinanced at this time. The proposed terms of the CFD bonds include an estimated par value of $11 million to maturity in 2034, including a 10-year call provision. The proposed interest rate is indexed at 65% of LIBOR plus 3%. At the time of the bank's proposal, the interest rate was quoted at 4.35%. If the bonds were issued at the quoted rate, the net present value savings over the life of the bonds would be approximately $507,000, or 4.5%. Following council approval and executing the rate lock, which is anticipated to take place in the next few days, the documents you are approving tonight will be finalized and executed over the next 2 weeks. The anticipated closing date for the bond issuance is on February 14th. This concludes my presentation at this time. With me at the dais are Financial Advisor Scott Smith of CSG and Bond Counsel Brian Forbath of Straddle and Yaka Carlson and Roth to assist me in answering any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Michelle. Seated sidebar, please, and we'll get going here. Public?
No public on this
Thank you.
side.
Back to the council. Deputy Mayor Sanchez.
Move approval. Adopt the resolution.
We have a second. Thank you very much. And with that, we'll go to the council. Councilmember Kern, please.
No, I was just going to move approval too. So can you run that through me one more time? Can you do that?
The slower version.
You want it faster or slower?
No, I think you did
With pictures.
time.
Slides, yeah, we need slides and graphs.
Pictures of the school. No.
With that, please vote.
Mr. Feller. Motion approved 5-0.
Mr. Clerk, item 9 when you get a chance. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Get you home in time in the fog.
Item number 9 is approval of a purchase order in the amount of $612,474,000 to Pierce Manufacturing Incorporated of Ontario, California. Approval of a budget transfer and appropriation in the amount of $400,000 for the purchase of a 1,500 gallon per minute triple combination fire pumper to replace an existing pumper that has exceeded its service life, and authorization for the Financial Services Director or designee to execute the purchase order.
Thank you very much. Chief, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well, Mr. Mayor, honorable
you.
council members. If I can just get up this PowerPoint that was requested earlier. There we go. Good evening. I stand here before you asking approval for the purchase of one 1,500 gallon per minute triple combination fire pumper, also described as a Type 1 apparatus. Prior to going any further on the staff report, I think it's important to update the council on some action that's been taken by the city manager and myself in formulating a plan for future replacement of fire apparatus. I think it's really important to understand the types of apparatus that we have. When I speak of apparatus tonight, I'm speaking strictly of Type 1 engines and ladder trucks. Currently in the city we have 6 frontline type engines that are in stations and respond to emergencies, and we have 3 reserves that are usually housed in those stations if they're not in the city garage being repaired. We also have 2 frontline aerial ladder trucks and 2 cross-staffed Type 3 brush trucks. The average lifespans of the Oceanside Fire Department apparatus is anywhere from 15 to 20 years. Tonight we're recommending a 17-year replacement plan. Just to describe what a Type 1 engine is, those are our simple engines that are staffed with 3 personnel. They carry anywhere from 500 to 750 gallons of water. They can pump anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 gallons per minute. They also carry the essential tools for firefighting, such as hose, axes. We carry some jaws of life on those as well. Their primary use is for emergency EMS type calls and structure firefighting. The estimated replacement cost is $600,000, and that is without tax and any type of increase for future. We're going to stay with $600,000. Type 3 engines are those brush engines that you see going usually up north or in southern San Diego to fight brush fires. They are staffed with 3 personnel. When we do send them out of the town, we send 4 personnel on them because it is reimbursable through the state. The primary use is wildland fires and any other off-road emergencies, and the estimated replacement of those is about $400,000. Those carry anywhere from 300 to 400 gallons of water. The pumps are a lot smaller. They don't pump the capacity of a Type 1, and they also don't carry any type of ladders other than a small 12-foot extension ladder. These are our aerial ladder trucks. We have 2 of them in our city. One is a 105 aerial truck that is staffed with 4 personnel. The other is our tiller truck, which we purchased back in 2011. The primary use of these are for structure fires and rescue, and also they respond in emergency medical calls as well. The replacement cost of these is $1 million plus. And there's a little side note, they're staffed with 4 personnel due to the SAFER grant, which those personnel are currently in our fire academy and will be graduating in approximately 10 weeks. The other apparatus that we're not just talking about tonight, that we do have replacement plan for, that's currently in the fleet replacement program, are our ambulances, staff cars, command vehicles, quick attack type 6 vehicles, our lifeguard vehicles, our water tender, and then the OES type 3 brush truck is funded by the state, but it's maintained by our fleet, which is fully reimbursable by the state. Just a quick, to let you know where these apparatus are at. At Station 1, we have 1 engine and 1 ambulance with 5 personnel. Station 2 is 1 engine and a reserve engine with 3 personnel. Station 3 at El Camino Real and Oceanside Boulevard is 1 engine, a reserve apparatus, the water tender, and the quick attack type 6 vehicle there with 3 personnel. And then Station 4 has 5 personnel with an engine ambulance, and that's where the OES brush truck also resides. Station 5 is 1 engine, and I just noticed that address is wrong. Station 5 is actually on a North River Road. Station 4 is Lake Boulevard. Station 6 has 6 personnel with 1 aerial ladder truck, that's the straight truck, not the tiller, 1 ambulance, and then a brush truck that's also cross staff. Station 7 has 7 personnel, that's where our tiller truck resides, with an ambulance, a reserve engine, and our battalion chief, and then 1 Type 3 brush truck. And then Station 8 is 3 personnel with 1 engine. This next chart, which was kind of challenging for us to put together because the city manager threw some crayons at me and said he wanted it done in crayon, but obviously I knew that was a joke. So I'm going to take my best stab at it because I think that this is easy to understand. If you look at the column on the left, that is a list of our equipment. We call them F. We use the F number for fire department. And 79, 80, 73, those are all the types of vehicles that are in our fleet. The present value of those is $600,000, is what we equated in the earlier slide. And then if you go down to the bottom, it shows that we need to start a replacement plan in 2014 and go all the way out to 17 years, which would equate to 2030. We have made mistakes in the past by purchasing more than 1 apparatus per year, which is not a good thing. In 2000, there was a replacement plan that was put in place that never got fully funded. And in 2007, we made another attempt, but as you know, the economy went kind of south, and we were just hoping to keep jobs and not really focus too much on apparatus. But I think it's important to note that today we need to start putting money aside for future replacement. That solid line that shows $500,000, that's what we're recommending to set aside annually from this point on to purchase future apparatus for the next 17 years. And that would cover the cost, today's current cost of those apparatus, not including tax or any type of inflation or increase. It was my suggestion to the city manager, and I think he agreed, that we would just deal with this on an annual basis of dealing with the inflation or any type of tax when those apparatus come up for replacement. With that, I would recommend this current apparatus B. We do have the money for it, so I'm asking approval for that. We do need it. As soon as we have that one in place, we'll be able to take our 1994 pumper out of service and put it in reserve status. So that's all I have. And tonight with me I have Captain Kloppenstein, who we've moved up to the apparatus committee, who helped write the staff report, and also Jeff Hart, fleet manager, available for any questions.
Thank you, Chief. See the sidebar. Any public on this?
Yes, we have 1 member of the public wishing to speak on this item. At this time, Larry Berry may come forward.
In this, one of the things I want to ask is this count for the, the pie in the sky helicopter, heliport, and all that other stuff that's going to be included on this kind of trajectory that you're talking about? Also, I want to know what is our projection for population growth in the city of Oceanside? Are we going to be a community that's going to go stagnant? Are we going to be a community that's going to start building high rises? What are we going to? How are we going to adapt to the future things that are going to happen in Oceanside? What is the Oceanside Police Fire Department is looking at things that we help. We have this neighboring community help, and what are they? I don't know what they call it. We help each Vista and Carlsbad. We've come across the borders and help each other. How are we going to? Does that come into any of our? Can we divert the funds to work together on certain things like that? I have no problem with our stuff. I think I have a real problem with when I drive around, and I have friends that live in some of these senior communities in the trailer parks in Oceanside, and we take that big old, what's the name of that big old hook and ladder thing we got? What is it called? A tiller truck or something. When it goes into mobile home parks. I understand that when there's this, we have this law in our books that we have to have somebody come out whenever an ambulance is called to some old person that falls in a trailer park. We need to have people go out there and help them. But I don't understand why we have to have this big old tiller truck go out there to assist some little old lady that fell in her kitchen. And I have a problem with that. But see if any way we can save money. There's a lot of things in the future that Oceanside should be looking at, and all the other things that go on with that. Thank you very much.
No further public on this item.
Thank you, Chief or staff. Could you address some of those questions, if you may?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. Regarding the helicopter, I came to the council with the helicopter program, and just so everybody understands, the department doesn't pay anything, the city doesn't pay anything for the REACH services. In fact, REACH pays us. It's part of our revenue. We receive over $225,000 annually through revenue from REACH. So we don't have anything to do with purchasing helicopters or anything of that sort. Secondly, with the tiller truck entering the trailer parks, I don't disagree. I'm not really thrilled with sending a large piece of apparatus like that on a medical aid. However, responding on several medical aids myself, sometimes you need more than 2 personnel to deal with those types of incidents. The tiller truck is currently at Station 7 because it's the middle of our city. And when there's any type of structure fire or commercial fire, that apparatus carries all kinds of equipment that's needed to deal with or mitigate those emergencies. So because it's in the center of our city and is close to those trailer parks, that's our first responding unit that responds to those trailer parks with the personnel on it. We are currently looking at other ways of obtaining additional apparatus that would carry personnel, or we could leave the tiller truck still staffed, because we still need it staffed to respond to those commercial and other types of fires. So we are looking at other means of doing that. We're not happy of driving a tiller truck on a medical aid, but it does respond on other emergencies other than the medical aids as well, in the trailer parks, including fires, just to let you know. I think I addressed all of his questions.
Thank you very much. With that, back to the council. Deputy Mayor Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what is before us then is a need to replace a critical piece of fire apparatus that is already reached the maximum years, right? 20 years? It's from 1994? So it'd be 20 years this year.
That is correct.
Yeah. And so it is a 1,500 gallon per minute triple combination fire pumper. You were asked a question regarding preparedness in terms of what we're getting, taller buildings in Oceanside. We call them mid-size buildings. When we previously had discussions about future Fire Station 1, we did talk about needing to ensure that we begin to prepare for the potential for fires, not only in the high-rise, but also in the case of parking lots that are underneath these buildings. So could you just say briefly about that kind of preparedness that you've been doing? Because I think that was a question that was also asked regarding our future needs and what you're doing to meet those future needs.
Absolutely. Like the council, the fire department is excited about the growth going on in Oceanside. We need it, and we understand that. But with those additional mid-rise hotels and buildings that are slated for the downtown, there comes additional risk with it. So we're just trying to prepare for that. One of the things that we added to our fleet with the Wyndham Hotel was an underground vehicle, and that was our Type 6 that I didn't have a picture of up there,
Right.
that could access the underground garage to fight those types of fires.
Yeah, in terms of size and also communications, I remember that there were some very specific needs that needed to be addressed.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I actually applaud our fire department, our chief, our staff for ensuring that we will meet every one of our potential dangers head on, fully prepared. So I'm going to move approval, and I also am very happy that you're putting together a plan for replacing these vehicles in the future. Thank you.
I'll second that. Thank you very much. Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you. I just, the question, I guess it goes to the manager. this reserve fund, are we building that into next year's budget then as we go forward? The pretty slide, is that what we're talking about? Because it wasn't really agendized as a reserve fund, but that presentation was, we talked about it, so I just want to know where we're at on it.
Mr. Mayor,
You know,
Mr. Mayor, council members. Yeah, I appreciate the discussion that we had. One of my concerns when this truck came up is not so much this truck, which I think we need to move forward with. The supports there, and certainly the age is beyond what we would like to run. But it has to do with our ability to meet future needs. The last few years, you've scraped together money from different pots and sources and stuff to provide for replacement of some of these apparatus, but we need to have a sustainable amount that we're putting aside every year. When we get together this spring to talk about priorities for expenditures, this, even though it's a huge amount from a capital standpoint, is something that needs to be built into the operating budget every year. And it will be one of the priorities that you'll have to consider in terms of all the expenditures you're facing. I think that the city needs to look at how we're going to cover not just our day-to-day operating costs for personnel, but also we need to consider things like these fire apparatus. It's very important. So I support this purchase, and I will be supporting us trying to find a way to build the annualized cost for apparatus replacement into our budget, if it's all possible to do that, with your assistance, of course.
well, and I guess the only other question is this indicative of other departments, like police department, public works, that we don't have reserve funds for vehicle replacement?
Mr. Mayor and council members, the city puts aside money for the replacement of almost all the vehicles in the city, except for very large pieces of equipment, which would be the fire apparatus and the things like bulldozers. We do, even in the fire department, we set aside money for non-fire apparatus. And I think the point that the fire chief, and certainly what I was hoping to get out of this, and he didn't mention this, we have put aside some, what is it, $265,000 a year in Community Facilities Fund.
Yes, sir.
And we have committed a large portion of that to for fire engine leases and that type of stuff. So we're only putting aside something like $65,000 or $85,000 a year. So we're woefully underfunded in being able to keep up with our needs for apparatus replacement. So that's what we intended to show here. It's not this one truck. It's our ongoing sustainable need for fire apparatus replacement. So with that, I would encourage you to approve this, and certainly within our ability to sustain it, consider it with all the other priorities this spring. Thank you.
Thank you. I was just want to get that clarified. Thanks.
Thank you. On one slide, you had Fire Station 5 with 5 personnel.
Fire Station 5 has 3 personnel. So.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, the slide,
Oh,
the rest
okay.
was wrong, and you admitted to that, but
Yeah. You're right. It's only 3 personnel. Thank you.
so if you go out to show this anywhere else, probably adds up to more than, the staffing we have every day. So I'm glad we're getting a handle on this, and thank you for doing it concisely for us so that we can understand it.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Councilmember Feline, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just want to get a little information on that one point. I was trying to follow the question Councilman Kern asked, because that was actually the very question I was going to ask, but I didn't quite hear the final answer there or understand it. The $500,000 we're planning for the future, because I think the truck, I have no problem with the truck or the motion as it exists for the current truck, and we have the cash, but is the $500,000 an anticipated increase in the fire budget, or a clarification of the budget item that already exists, or did I hear we've been setting aside some but not enough, so the net increase will be about $250,000? I mean, obviously, we'll be getting into that with our budget, but I just want to make sure I'm understanding roughly where we're at there.
Mayor and council members, you've correctly identified the lack of clarity in my answer. I don't know is the proper answer. All we can do is identify that we have an issue, the order of magnitude of that issue, and that we need to look at it as a priority. If we can't find the funding near term, we need to find a way to find the funding long term. Near term, if we come back and we'll need another apparatus next year, we would have to take it out of your unallocated reserves or capital reserves. But you know there's an end to that, and we know that there's going to be a reoccurring cost every single year. We need to plan for it. He showed you numbers in present value. So if you take the $500,000 and you subtract the $85,000 we know we have, we're $415,000 short for next year. And the cost will go up. You know, the inflationary factors are not built into this. So it's something we need to be diligent about. We need to look at it. I just wanted to let the council know it is a priority that's on the horizon, and it competes with everything else that you have to fund.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, and I commend the city manager and the fire chief for looking down the future. We certainly don't want to be living hand to mouth, and we certainly know these are going to be replacement items we have to address, and it certainly makes sense that we're incorporating into our budget a known cash flow to address something that we know we're going to have to do. So I certainly look forward to discussing that in the spring, and I certainly will vote for the motion as it exists. Thank you.
Chief, thank you very much. A couple of things, if I may. Councilmember Feller and myself sit on the Joint Powers Authority for the North County Fire Dispatch. It's all of North County. And it's interesting when you go down, you meet with all the fire chiefs from this North County and a representative from their city. This is a common issue, very common for all the cities, and the cost of fire protection. Then you kind of wonder, you should be that involved, and then you find out every 3 or 4 years the entire county burns down from the Santa Ana winds moving to the west. As you remember, the last great fire, the evacuation area for everybody out east was Oceanside, where you could park your trailers or your cars on the beach or go to the high school. So it does hit, it hits hard, and each time I find out is the fire departments, even when we all join together, are overwhelmed by those type of fires. 80-foot fires with 80-mile-an-hour winds, and I understand it's hard to fight, but Chief, I know you have been really a leader down there in this Joint Powers Authority, trying to address the issue of the whole region in fires, manning and the equipment. So it's not something new that we're talking about tonight. I know you've covered it quite extensively regarding Joint Powers Authorities for smaller cities, and I think some of them in North County have joined together to approach this issue. Have any comments on those issues that maybe you would like to express to us in the council? Sorry, that's not on your topic, you didn't study it, but...
No, that kind of reminds me of an additional question that Mr. Berry asked. As far as regional approach, I have approached other fire departments about sharing reserve apparatus because other agencies run into the same issues we do, that the trucks are very expensive, and when the truck goes down, to have $1 million piece of equipment in reserve is just sometimes unreasonable. But I'll tell you that it becomes very territorial in some sense, and then there's a whole financial side of it. What happens if there's a truck in your city and it breaks, and you're talking about an older piece of apparatus? So there's some fire chiefs that are open to the idea and some that aren't. Some don't need to be open to the idea. There's a neighboring city that has more money in their reserve accounts to replace their entire fleet twice, I think, but we do approach it as a regional issue, and a lot of departments are in similar situations because of the downturn of the economy, where they have to formulate plans to come up with, a fund to replace future apparatus.
Chief, thank you. I appreciate it. I know it's something we've been discussing for years down at the Joint Powers Authority, and I thank you for that. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. When you have the opportunity, number 10, please.
Item number 10 is adoption of a resolution approving and implementing the Memorandum of Understanding between the City and the Oceanside Police Management Association effective January 22nd, 2014 through December 31st, 2015.
Good afternoon. Not as tall as the chief. Good afternoon. I'm Pat Nunez. Mayor, council members, the item you have before you today is the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Oceanside Police Management Association. It is it's a 2-year contract, approximately starting today, if approved today, running through December 31, 2015. The key economic issues are there's no salary increases. The city medical insurance contributions are capped at the current rate, so the members will absorb any future increases. It eliminates the reporting of employer-paid member contributions to CalPERS, and reduces tuition reimbursement per member from approximately $65.78 to $2,000 per year per member. The agreement provides for a taxable, non-PERSable pension, a stipend of $4,000 per member each year of the contract. This means it does not increase their pensionable salary for future retirement benefits. It also allows for a taxable, and when I say taxable, I mean to the employee, non-pensionable cash-out option of their accrued annual leave of up to 80 hours per year. It eliminates a computer loan program that has been eliminated throughout the city for all other employee groups, and incorporates the reasonable suspicion drug and alcohol testing program. The fiscal impact on the 2-year term is that the stipend will run $80,000 for 2 years. The elimination of the EPMC city contribution will save the city $81,250. The insurance savings, the first year there will be no savings because those rates are already set, but anticipating next year will be approximately $15,900. And then vacation and tuition, depending on the number of members using it, varies between a savings or a cost of $0 to a cost of $56,560 or a savings of $45,780. Just depends on how many of the members actually utilize the benefit. And that's the end of the presentation. I made it very short and sweet. Do I have any questions? Lieutenant Adam Nolan from OPMA is here if you have any questions for him as well.
Have a seat at the sidebar. If there's any more questions, we'll get back to you. Thank you.
No public on this one.
No public on this? Thank you. Councilmember Feller, please.
I move approval.
Thank you very much. Councilman Kern, you had a light on too, just for the second?
Well, no, I was just a second.
Okay. Councilmember Sanchez, Deputy Mayor Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I'd say is that I feel a bit uncomfortable here because we are not coming forward with a contract with our police officers, guys that are get up in the morning every day knowing that they're going to, face danger every single day, knowing that in the last few years, I guess for me it's almost like last year, but I know it's been like, 8 years? In the last 8 years, we've lost 2 officers. So I don't feel comfortable voting on this today. I really appreciate staff's working hard in getting a contract, an obtaining a contract, but it is not what I would hope. I would hope that we would be going forward and having a contract with our police officers. We are, I think, in Oceanside, are in a special situation in that we have some pretty awesome officers who keep us safe every day, despite the fact that we have the highest crime rate in the area, despite the fact that our ratio is still on the low side, despite the fact that we've had our issues. We now have a really fantastic police department, police officers, so to really have changed the economic reality of our city around. And it's not just now a question of are we safe, it is, you know, the ability to attract businesses. So for me to sit here this evening and to vote on just one contract, the management contract, which is what, 9 people, but not for a contract for what, 175 officers, I think is not in the spirit of what we should be about in Oceanside. So I am probably going to abstain from this. It's basically a show of support for all of our officers. Again, I appreciate that staff has been working to try to come up with a contract, but I think we have our differences, and I think on the dais as to what our priorities are. As someone who grew up in one of these neighborhoods, and as someone that had, I think, the wonderful opportunity to leave, go away, go to college, get a degree from Brown University in Urban Studies, come back, go to law school, work at the Public Defender's Office for 20 years, be able to serve as a council member for these, you know, last what is it now, 14 years, to just really feel a big pride in this Oceanside that we all love so much, and yet be in this situation today. It's just not something I want to ever repeat again. So, having said that, Mr. Mayor, I am going to be abstaining. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Folin, please.
Thank you. I think this contract, as well as the one we're hoping to negotiate but have necessarily imposed on the Police Officers Association, is good for the long-term health of the city. It begins a step of facing fiscal reality. Over the near future, we're going to have small surpluses, it looks like, thank God, instead of deficits. But this is in a field where we have ever increasing medical costs. We have a pension bubble, depending on how you want to calculate it, from either $150 million up to $500 million that represents expenses that have been incurred in the past that money has not been set aside for to pay in the future. And for this council to ignore that mathematical reality in negotiating any of our contracts would be foolhardy. Now, you know, we can go down that road of paying more and more money for fewer and fewer government employees. I guess that's the Detroit model. That's the San Bernardino model. That's the Viejo model. That's the Stockton model. That, as long as I'm up here at the dais, will never be the Oceanside model. And this contract, as well as all the contracts we've negotiated, has been tough, facing the fiscal reality that the taxpayers are facing in the city too. We're, you know, still in 5 years of recession. Yeah, the economists tell us that the recovery had began in July of 2009. Well, I'm still waiting to see the recovery, and I'd sure be interested in terms of how many wage earners in the city of Oceanside have seen a recovery. And we don't need to be giving contracts like in the past where the private sector is not getting raises, they're not seeing a recovery, and we don't need to be giving raises in the public sector when we're already at number 1. You know, how can you be more of number 1 than number 1? So, you know, we need to be fiscally prudent as a body, and this contract that we're voting on is a step in that right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to make sure you understand, I have mixed feelings on this also. We've gone through a meet and confer process with all our city employees, and because of the economy, et cetera, we have to be stringent on what we want to do and give out. But with that in mind, it's called good faith bargaining, and I'm not sure the city does it all the time as good faith bargaining, especially in this area. The image of Oceanside that all of you have been approached, I've been approached 1,000 times, saying how much the city of Oceanside has changed to the better, really falls on the shoulders of public safety, fire, police, those type people out there. They've changed the image of Oceanside. Yes, I know the economy is tough and you have to be smart about it. On the other hand, I look at it this way. When you start cutting in places that have been really positive for the city of Oceanside, you'll get a feedback that's a little different. I hate to see the response time and other things that come with by cutting back on the police and et cetera. Plus, let's face it, everybody knows that that's very important. The seniors who really rule the ballot box in Oceanside really remember the police and fire have changed a lot of things for them. My aspect on this, and I don't want to get into a long argument over money, but yes, we have to be frugal in what we do. But we sold a mobile home park for $6 million a while back, if you remember. $6 million in, and we got about $18 million back from the redevelopment. Is that correct? You know offhand, or you, Mr. Sishik, remember? No, but it's about $18 million. So you're looking at about $24 million that we've gotten back recently. Over maybe capital improvement money, it may be, but it doesn't look like the city's broke. So what I look at is trying to do the right thing for the city. And it is a little embarrassing that nobody got anything really, basically, except police management, and I think you should get it, but it also sends a message to everybody below police management that they didn't either count or they weren't looked at it with an open eye. So that's my concerns on it. I want you guys to get what you deserve, but like I say, you're the only ones who look like you're getting anything from the city whatsoever, and that concerns me an awful lot for this and in the future. With that, we'll move on, and let's please vote on this.
Motion approved, 3-0. Wood and Sanchez abstain.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Clerk. And with that, let's see here. Mr. City Attorney, could you do a closed session, please?
Sir, the City Council met in closed session at 2 o'clock this afternoon. There was no meeting on item 1. Council did meet with regard to item 2A, conference with real property negotiator involving the 0.74 acres of vacant property located on Yucca Road. Negotiating parties, City of Oceanside and Kukulu Incorporated. Under negotiations are price and terms for the sale of the property. Council did meet and discuss that item, but there's no reportable action. Item 3A is conference with legal counsel on existing litigation in the matter of Dunex Inc., Cavalier Mobile Estates versus City of Oceanside. Again, the council did meet and discuss that matter, but there is no reportable action.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Clerk, we have an item 17, the City Attorney has addressed, but let's jump ahead to 18, which is your item.
Yes. Which item would you like to hear first?
18, please.
Item number 18, yes. Let me read that for you. Item number 18 is introduction of an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 12 of the City Code by the addition of Sections 2.75 through 2.79 to require online or electronic filing of campaign disclosure statements and statements of economic interest, approval of a 5-year performance of service agreement with NetFile Incorporated of Mariposa, California, an annual amount of $18,000 to provide software and maintenance services to support the electronic filing system, authorization for the city manager to execute the agreement, and approval of a budget appropriation in the amount of $9,000 from the general fund unallocated reserves to the city clerk election and political reporting program account for the first 6-month cost of the agreement.
Thank you. With that, Zach, it's your item. Run to the other counter.
Honorable Mayor, City Council members, just wanted to bring forward an item. Item number 18 is regarding electronic filing for campaign disclosure. This is a means to provide additional efficiency within our City Clerk's department, provide greater access to the public in regards to campaign information, and make it easier for candidates to file electronically through our office. So for any questions that you might have regarding the specific nature of this, I would encourage you to discuss with Tom DeBart. He's here from Mariposa. He's actually the Vice President of NetFile Incorporated, as well as Holly Trobach, who provided great leadership on this item. If you have any questions, please address myself or them. No public.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You left out one other thing that this does.
Yes.
We go paperless.
We go paperless.
So it's environmentally another reason why this is a phenomenal thing. I want to thank you, Mr. Beck, for bringing this forward. I've been wanting us to move that way. One of the things that I was so impressed by Portland is that they're completely paperless. If you want to submit a plan, you have to do it via email and do everything electronically. So that is our future, and as we go year to year, I know there is a cost involved, but eventually it all comes back to us in terms of savings. So I want to congratulate you and your staff, and I understand NetFile is the only guy in town doing this. Yeah. So I don't know if you ever get any competition for this, but I'm really pleased that we're doing this, and I don't have any questions for you. Except that hopefully this will be. Where else are you doing this?
Well, our nearest agency would be City of San Diego, right up the I-5, and we have now, between our two systems, our campaign statement system and our statement of economic interest, we have over 50 agencies in California using our systems.
So you don't anticipate any bugs
No,
starting
no.
this year?
No, we don't. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I move approval, and thank you.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. With that, Councilmember Feller, please.
You have 400 to go then in California. And unlike Councilmember Sanchez, I'm not impressed with Portland on almost anything. And I do like having my paper. I like having this big wad of paper to look at. So, but this is better for the clerk's office. So,
Sure.
And that's.
And the nice part about the system is you actually, before you push the button for your electronic filing, it creates a draft form for you that you could download and review, and you could even, after you electronically file, you could download it to paper if you decided.
That will happen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kern, please.
You had your hand up like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, no, it was a question. How do you sign it?
Well,
I'm sorry, thank you very
Go
much.
ahead.
the documents are handled differently. The Fair Political Practices Commission approves you as a paperless filing agency, and the process is approved by the FPPC. So as a filer, when you go in, you log in, there's a statement, and you have a secure credentials logging in. There's a statement under penalty of perjury, you're electronically filing the document, and you push a button. On the campaign system, on the electronic filing side, you have to approve a local ordinance, making the electronic filing the document of record. And once you do that, a statement pops up to the filer. You, under penalty of perjury, are filing on behalf of the committee, the treasurer, and the candidate, and you push a button and you're filed. So, pretty easy.
Thank you.
And actually, to correct Councilmember Feller, it's not 400, it's about 4,000. When you start talking special districts and everybody else that has to file all of these documents.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of,
cities, so.
there's a lot of documents there. And actually, on mine, I go online to fill them out electronically anyway, then I print them out and run down to the clerk's office and hand them in. So it's not going to, it would save a lot of time and effort just to click on that. So my follow-up question are two. One, when are we going to roll this out? Because we have a deadline coming up the end, a couple weeks for our 460 forms. And the next one's July 31st. And so is that what we plan on having it up and running by July 31st? Holly, you're leaning into that mic, so.
Tonight you would just be introducing the ordinance, so you're going to have to adopt the ordinance, and then it'll be the usual 30 days after that.
So
that we can start.
So the July 31st is, you expect that's the first one we'll be able to do that?
It should be up before that, so we can start with the pre-election filings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. And then I guess the other one is, since we're filing this electronically, are we going to put these up on the city website? Since
Correct.
they're already done, I mean, since instead of you guys have to scan them and put them up as a PDF, that they'll be filed. So when I push that button to file, does it go to, who does it go to?
So there's going to be an entry portal on the city's website, but I will allow Mr. Debar to describe it a little further.
So basically what happens when you electronically file the document will be instantly posted into a public viewing portal, and the public viewing portal looks like your website. So there'll be a link off the city clerk's webpage to view filings, and as soon as that filing's pulled the trigger on, and the electronic filing is accepted, because it goes through a process through a validation server to make sure the document meets all the requirements of the electronic schema, and then it instantly gets posted in redacted form over the internet. So you could see it, the public can see it, all of the address information is redacted from the filing automatically, and if they walk into the city clerk's office, if they want to see the unredacted portion, they'll be able to provide them with the unredacted portion of the filing.
Well, and that's, the last question is, because I always wait for those letters from Holly about 3 weeks after I file to say, okay, you missed this, you forgot to put somebody's address in, you didn't put their employment in, and so, you know, those little mistakes that we all make in filing these things, how is that handled?
You hit the nail right on the head. Because the way that the system works, if you're using the free filer portal, instead of going to, let's say, the FPPC's website and filling out their PDF fill-in-the form, the PDF fill-in-the form doesn't do anything for you from a standpoint of telling you what fields are required. The system knows when you're filling out as a filer that if an area that's required you do not populate, you're not able to file. So the nice part about it is that it forces you to not make any mistakes, and all of the document portions that are required, filing period, page numbers and all that, that's automatically placed in there by the system.
So no more letters from Holly?
Oh, no, I'll still review them.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Feline, please.
Thank you. Well, I guess the back and forth, most of my questions have been answered. I just have one last one. In terms of the copies that are required by the states, for example, 410s or other agencies, are those going to be automatically forwarded, or do we still have to print hard copies and handle that ourselves? How will that be addressed?
Well, currently the process on the 410 is if you're going to establish a committee in the state of California, they have a dual process. Fundamentally what you do is you file on paper to the Secretary of State, and you have to have your signature and your treasurer's signature on that statement. The Secretary of State will then send you a copy of that with your committee ID on it. Once that process has been approved, you are a registered committee with the state of California. The only other time you have to file to the state of California if you have any changes to that committee, name, address, or you're terminating the committee. All other filings are at the local level. So the system handles all the local level filings. You can create a 410 in the system and file it, but you would still have your responsibility to send that to the Secretary of State. So the system doesn't automatically do that. The Secretary of State, coincidentally, does not allow paperless filing at the state level. So if you're running for governor and you have a 5,000-page 460 semi-annual statement, you have to electronically file it, and you have to send them that 4,000-page document as well. Legislation passed last year, AB 2452, which allows you as a local government to go completely paperless, and the first agency to go completely paperless filing is right up the I-5 or down the I-5. The city of San Diego, a year ago today, January 22nd, made the first paperless filing ever in the state of California. And the Secretary of State is still receiving both electronic and paper.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a great path to go forward and a great way for the public to have quicker, faster access. Now, is the $18,000 cost going to be within the existing city clerk budget, or is this an additional?
It will be an additional budgeted item.
Zach, you going to pass the hat, or what are we going to?
I think this is a great step for the city of Oceanside, so I hope this works out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, Tyler?
Yes, this is the introduction of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside amending Chapter 2, Article 12 of the Oceanside City Code by the addition of Sections 2.75 through 2.79 to require online or electronic filing of campaign contributions and expenditures and statements of economic interest reports.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, we're going to take about a little over 10-minute break. Thought they'd make it 10 after 5 where we can set up some things. Quick recess. If you haven't been here before, out the doors, up the stairs, restrooms, and water. Thank you very much.
I was just... No, that's why I asked.
I know we talked about it. Okay, I think I know. I will let her read on the line.
Okay, Garza, you gotta pay attention, and when he hears those commands, you gotta turn. It's like this.
He runs over making that he said his traffic page in 5 years of career. Now he's only going to run in 4 marathons instead of 7. Next year I think he's going to get out for 1. We've got 300 lines in the bottom of our 200 years. We don't sell it. We're going to get there. But when we decide to do his wife's Italian, but we don't want wine for every year. We want to play. Stands out as not one, not a series of runs.
I'm one of the kids. I think you've just given off plenty of warning.
We're not asking. And the ice. Right out of the box. We don't want I think it's scary. What do you want, high school? Three?
Well, I mean, that's it. And I think we've been here so long now, we just returned this house.
You just let her go off.
Just let it go. You can see the body language. Sit back. Looking at the house. People look around.
I know, but it's for the press. It's just sound bites for the press.
Anyway, we're good.
We're ready to come to closure anytime later. Oh no, there'll be some discussion about positioning. But then, eventually we'll get around to. We got standing on
We talked about
Wow. The International Community Conference was once in Germany. Is it one of the board members?
It's not Thursday. So
do you want that? If you do, then maybe we can talk. If you don't, then we're done.
Yeah. And that's fine.
I don't have any other authorization from you guys. And I didn't, they asked me if I'm going to come to closed session and ask you guys for authorization. I said, no. How do I do that? If I get any different authorization, it's going to go back to them faster than you can say. Nope, I don't need that.
I'll just say,
I think that was I'm not talking about this. If I get authorization, it'll be because I go.
the only thing is if they come back with something that says the grade of those top three things, that there's some issues down the line at the bottom and say, hey, we want more money for shoes. Well, okay, if you agree with the top three things, that's what Council Harden's asked on. The bottom stuff, we can work on it.
Yeah.
We'll buy them all a pair of shoes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. It's the second part of the council meeting. It starts. We have some house cleaning in the sense if you have a phone or pager, put it on silent or vibrate. We'd appreciate that. Was not a long meeting tonight per se, and we'll go on from there. But Valerie, could you explain what's coming up next?
Yes, if at this time you could all please stand for the invocation and also the Pledge of Allegiance. For the invocation this evening, we call forward our City Clerk, Zach Beck, who is also a youth pastor for Gateway Community Church.
Let us bow our heads. Father, we come to you today to simply say thank you. Thank you for the privilege, the blessing, and the honor that we have to live in a diverse city, a city of different beliefs, different backgrounds, different histories, different presents, and different futures. And we come to you today to seek your guidance, your wisdom, and your discernment in the deliberations and the decisions that we have to make today that affect this great city. And we ask that all these things be said in your name. Amen.
performing the Pledge of Allegiance and the Color Guard this evening. It will be done by the Eagle Young Marines of Camp Pendleton under the direction of Master Gunnery Sergeant and Mrs. Siegemann.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry on. Rise, faith. Ready, cut. Forward, march. Left, 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 right.
You may all be seated at this time.
Couple of things, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, the Young Marines, they do a lot of these around the community, but you've never gone to a group that you've heard so many yes sirs, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, opening the doors and all those things you haven't seen for years. You want to see them go out to the Young Marines, and I think that's fantastic. Again, thank you for being here again, and God bless. You got it.
For our first presentation this evening, we have the Mayor's Oceanside Business Member Spotlight. And from the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce, we'd like to begin by calling forward the Chairman of the Board, Don Reedy, Board Member Cece Haas, and CEO David Nidegger. This evening, we are honoring Tri-City Medical Center and would like to call forward the following individuals. First, Chief Marketing Officer David Bennett. Their Multicultural Manager Isabel Escal. And the Senior Director of Marketing and Community Relations, Francisco Valle.
Hi, everybody. Boy, I wish there were more folks here because this is a pretty special night. I'm going to tell you that just up the road here, you have absolutely fabulous, one of the 100 great hospitals. And part of the reason it's one of the 100 great hospitals is because of the folks that are up here, including the gentleman we're going to honor tonight, Francisco Valle. So I'd like to tell you just a little bit about him. I could go on for years, but I won't. But I want to tell you what he does. Francisco is the Senior Director of Marketing, Community Relations, and Projects at Tri-City. In this capacity, he's responsible for developing and implementing marketing plans for both general and multicultural markets. He also leads the development of marketing and advertising materials, including direct mail, TV advertising, have you seen some of the new ads, health segments, and community events. And he plays a major role in Tri-City Medical Center, not only here locally, but also in the state and nationally. And of course, we're very honored to have him as a member of the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Under Francisco's leadership, with the support of the Board of Directors and of the district and the administration, he's been able to actually do something that in my time here I haven't seen in quite a while, and that is he's actually brought the hospital to the community. It's really quite striking to see now the way that Francisco's been able to integrate many of the offerings of the hospital directly into the Hispanic community and also the community at large. And it's really something that perhaps you don't see on a day-to-day basis. What you may have seen are some of the things that he's been involved with. I'll just name a couple of them. Bike the Coast, 2,500 people, annual Filipino festival, because all my Filipino friends like to eat. The 125th, of course, anniversary of Oceanside, the gala we celebrated last year. Heritage Ball, Boys and Girls Club, Cancer Relay, Tri-City Interfaith, and the list goes on. I'm going to tell you a little bit about one of Francisco's goals in a second, but I think I have to sort of switch my presentation here, because I want to tell you that this is one unique educated fellow. He's fully bilingual, of course, and he co-authored How to Win the Hispanic Gold Rush, which has been included in Forbes magazine Book of the Month, and he appears frequently on radio and TV. He has a PhD candidate in management, holds an executive certificate from Claremont, Peter F. Drucker, graduate school. He's doing a dissertation on the future of America, a Hispanic paradox, which sounds strikingly like everybody's dissertation. I have no idea what it is, but I'm sure it's pretty smashing. On top of everything else, this man went to pharmacy school. He completed governance training at Harvard Business School, UCLA, and he's certified to serve on boards of public companies all around the world. I apologize for this. I don't want to miss anything with this guy. One of the reasons why all his education is so important is that he's taken all that and I think I can say this, I hope it doesn't embarrass you, but he was born in Mexico, and like many of us, we don't always grow up in the kindest of worlds, or nothing was given to him on a golden platter. His grandma raised him, and he literally sort of pulled himself up by the old bootstraps. And so now one of his major goals is to help others get better educations. So he works with Tri-City at Maricosta, helping young students emulate the things that he's done. He participates in Gear Up program for the Oceanside Unified School District. And he challenges all of the kids to listen to their advisors, to continue their education, get a college degree if that's possible, and to stay away from drugs and alcohol, which is pretty darn cool. In recognition of all that, on top of what we're doing tonight, Francisco was recently named the 2013 Health Professional of the Year, Latino Champion recipient, and by the UT San Diego, and a 2013 Inspirational Leader by San Diego Magazine. He has a beautiful wife. They've lived here since 2004. I've been privileged to meet his daughter. She's just recently graduated from Boston University, is that right? And his son is attending Creighton University. And so, once again, it's rare that you have an opportunity to meet somebody that has such an impact on the community. Francisco is that man, and on behalf of the Chamber, we'd like to award you with our small token of our appreciation.
Really quickly, I just want to say it's been an honor serving on the Board of Directors with you, and I think this is so deeply deserved because you have moved our chamber in a lot of great directions with your expertise, and I thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. And I know David also.
Well, yes, even briefer. When you look in the dictionary under the Energizer Bunny, this man would be sitting right there. He's a poster child. I don't know where he gets all the energy for all the things that you do, but you didn't even mention any of the stuff he's done for the Chamber of Commerce. All the committees you've been on, for your service, thank you.
I'm fine. No, I'm just very proud to have him on the marketing team, where we have a lot of great people at Tri-City Medical Center in our marketing department.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for one of our local crowd. Well, thank you very much. And everywhere I go, there he is. So again, thank you. And more importantly, I like to thank all the staff at Tri-City Hospital. That's really more important to me. As I get older, I start to be more involved at Tri-City Hospital, usually on a gurney, but anyhow, that's what I say. Thank you for what you do out there for me, and I can't think of a nicer group of people than Tri-City. Let's get some photographs if we may.
Thank you very much. It's really a great honor for us to be selected to receive this award, and we are humbled for it. And I'd like to say that this award is really the reflection of three things. First is the support that our doctors, our staff, our administration, represented here by David, and our board of directors, and Isabel in this case, because she's the one that makes everything happen. I get the credit, we get the credit, but she's the one making it happen. But also, this award is a reflection of how much the city of Oceanside, starting here from Mayor Wood and the council, the Camp Pendleton, and organizations like the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce have received, as well as Camp Pendleton. And also, it's a reflection of all of you here in the public, because all these events, that we put together, that we organize, or activities that we support, is for you, and you have really embraced it. And we really thank you very much also for supporting Tri-City Medical Center for more than 50 years. Thank you.
Everybody else, this is a big event. I'll go behind you, Stephen, yeah. At least you look pretty. The pictures look pretty.
For our next presentation this evening, we have a proclamation honoring the United States Postal Service. And with us this evening, we have a few current and retired postal individuals with us, and we'd like to call them up and honor them one by one. The first individual, Willie Little, if you please come forward. Ann Moore. Michael Bush. Glendale Moore. And Conrad Beck. Proclamation in honor of the United States Postal Service. Whereas the U.S. Postal Service is a vital component of this nation's economic and communications infrastructure, handling and delivering 160 billion pieces of mail and generating more than $65 billion in revenue annually while receiving no taxpayer funding. And whereas the mailing industry, which employs 8 million Americans, generates over $1 trillion annually and represents approximately 7% of our nation's gross domestic product, depends on the U.S. Postal Service's invaluable mail processing, retail, and last-mile delivery networks 6 days a week. And whereas the U.S. Postal Service protects voting by mail, which is now commonplace in California and is essential to our democracy. And whereas small businesses and many Americans, particularly seniors, depend on the U.S. Postal Service for receipt of prescription drugs. And whereas rural communities, many of which do not have access to the Internet, remain dependent on the U.S. Postal Service for vital communications and shipment of goods. And whereas the U.S. Postal Service is the second largest employer of U.S. veterans in our nation, with over 22% of its employees having served our country. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Jim Wood, Mayor of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim January 22nd, 2014 as U.S. Postal Service Day in the City of Oceanside. I further wish to thank all U.S. Postal Service employees for their dedication and commitment in keeping our great country running smoothly.
No, sir, I will be present. My name is Willie Little, and I live in Oceanside. Been in Oceanside, the same house, believe it or not, for more than 40 years. But I'm a retired letter carrier, and I work as letter carrier liaison for the 49th Congressional District. And we travel from here back to Washington and several other places to try to get letter carriers their dues. I would just like to say, first of all, being a letter carrier, we do have a motto. It says, rain, shine, sleet, or snow. Now, if anyone wants to take me up on that, we have a flight out tonight at 11 o'clock. I'll be in Chicago tomorrow morning. So that's where we are. We do this, and a lot of letter carriers live in the city of Oceanside. In fact, I think we have more than anyone in North County that lives in the city of Oceanside. And bear this because a lot of us are military, and we was already here, and there's no better place to be. So I'd like to just turn it over to the rest of my colleagues and let them tell you about some of the things.
My name's Ann Moore. I'm a retired letter carrier. I started with the Postal Service in 1966. I retired in 2008. And I just want to thank you for your support of the Postal Service and for this proclamation. Thank you very much.
My name is Michael Bush. I'm currently Vice President of Branch 2525, National Association of Letter Carriers. And I would like to thank the Mayor and the City of Oceanside for their kindness in presenting us this certificate. And recently they talk about 6-day delivery. Currently we are delivering 7 days. The 7th day we're delivering packages, mostly Amazon, and now I understand that Nordstrom's has signed on. So don't be surprised to see mail trucks out there running around on Sunday.
I'm Glendale Moore, resident of Oceanside. On behalf of all letter carriers everywhere, we want to thank you for your support.
And I'm Conrad Beck, the father of our city clerk over here. I've been a letter carrier for 30 years. I still am. I'm the only one still working out of this bunch here. And in fact, we feel strongly enough about maintaining 6-day delivery that I flew back to Washington last year and lobbied Congress for that. And I'll spare you all the details. We're very strongly in favor of that. I can only say that if you hadn't given us this proclamation, Zach wouldn't be getting his allowance tonight. So.
These retirees are a big part of our city of Oceanside, so it's twofold. We get them here for the rest of our lives, and thank you. Let's hear it for them, folks. Thank you. Thank you, Tri-City Hospital, Chamber of Commerce, and U.S. Postal Service. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Be safe. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, that was pretty nice for your father to be here also. Thank you. We'll go with item 17.1.
17.1 is Governor Brown's declaration of a drought emergency for the state of California.
Humble Mayor, before Carrie comes down, I did want to point out that this item was added as an addendum to the agenda within the 72 hours, so it was after the agenda was originally published, and under the Brown Act, I would recommend that you take a vote to determine that there's a need to hear it, and that way you would be permitted to take discussion on it at this time.
Thank you.
I move.
Okay.
I would second that motion.
I think we heard the motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you. And with that, Mr. Clerk, we'll have Carrie Dale come down from the Water Department. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the tip of the lance for water, and we appreciate it. We stole her from another city, and we're happy. Carrie, thank you.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just a reminder, this is an informational item. There's no action being taken this evening. So as most of you probably know, last Friday, Governor Brown declared a drought emergency for the state of California. The governor's declaration officially directs the Department of Water Resources to initiate a water conservation campaign based on Save Our Water, which I will discuss a little later. It also calls for a 20% water use reduction by all Californians and allows for water transfers to more easily occur throughout the state to areas where water is needed the most, in addition to many other actions. The drought declaration is primarily being driven by persistent dry conditions throughout the southwest United States. The picture shown here shows today's 3-month outlook probability for precipitation. The B in the bottom left corner of the map indicates that precipitation is expected to be below normal conditions. In addition to these future dry anticipated conditions, the drought declaration is being driven by low storage levels in the larger reservoirs in the State Water Project, such as Lake Oroville and the San Luis Rey reservoirs in Northern California, which are at 36% and 31% of capacity, respectively, as well as low water content in the snowpack in the Sierra Mountains. It is important to note that the impact of the drought varies considerably throughout the state, with conditions closest to supply sources, such as those in Northern California, being the most serious. In Southern California, the water supply outlook appears relatively positive compared to other areas of the state, thanks to long-term planning and investments by Metropolitan Water District, the San Diego County Water Authority, as well as locally here at the City of Oceanside. This map shown here displays Metropolitan Water District's major storage reservoirs in the Southern California area and includes Castaic Lake, Silverwood Lake, Lake Paris, Lake Matthews, Diamond Valley Lake, and Lake Skinner. Although Metropolitan receives a portion of its supplies from the State Water Project and could be subject to cutbacks, it has taken some proactive steps to bank excess water in these storage reservoirs for use during dry periods. This is a graphic depiction of water storage in the reservoirs that were on the previous slide. Of note is the water storage levels in 2006, which were the water storage levels present in those reservoirs before the last drought, which occurred or started in 2007, shows storage levels at 2.2 million acre-feet. Now, if we compare that to storage levels occurring in 2013, or just at the end of December, storage is better than levels that were in the reservoirs in 2006. In fact, the storage levels are at 2.4 million acre-feet, so we could say that storage levels or the condition or the readiness for a drought is better than it was when we last experienced a drought. The Water Authority has also been preparing for drought by constructing the Emergency Storage Project, which is a system of reservoirs, interconnected pipelines, and pumping stations designed to make water available to the San Diego region. It also includes the San Vicente Dam raise, pictured here on this slide. The Water Authority has also partnered with Poseidon Resources to purchase desalinated seawater, which will be available mid-2015, I think was the date. And they have also secured water transfers from the Colorado River. Oceanside has also invested in its own local supply development by developing water from the Mission Basin, recycled water supplies, and we will soon be exploring indirect potable reuse. In addition, this City Council adopted the Model Drought Ordinance in 2008, following a regional effort led by the Water Authority to develop a consistent ordinance format for all member agencies in San Diego. The Drought Ordinance provides for 4 drought response levels, each with increasing restrictions. Level 1, considered the drought watch stage, is the level that the city is currently in. In this stage, water cutbacks are voluntary, and we ask that customers use water wisely. Additionally, the department is increasing its public education and awareness campaign, and also believes that supplies will be sufficient during 2014 to meet all customer demands. Level 2 requires conservation of up to 20%, reduces watering days and times, and requires that leaks be repaired within 72 hours, among other restrictions. During the last drought, which began in 2007, the City of Oceanside was at this level, at level 2. Other levels, such as level 3 and 4, require increasing conservation levels and additional restrictions. Please note that currently we are at level 1, which is a drought watch. I would like to emphasize that at this time there are no mandatory water cutbacks. We also recognize that Oceanside customers have done an exemplary job in the past when we've asked them to conserve. And although we are not asking customers to cut back in a formal manner at this time, we are asking them to use water wisely. Staff also advises that we proceed slowly in response to the governor's declaration, and note that there has been considerable planning, as I've mentioned previously, and investment in infrastructure to prepare for drought in Southern California. That being said, with dry conditions in the north, and because Metropolitan does receive a portion of its water from the State Water Project, which has been, supplies are low, it's dry there. Metropolitan is currently drawing on the supplies that I discussed earlier. If conditions worsen, the Water Authority may consider using its own local supplies in storage to offset cutbacks, if there are any, and or implement their own drought response plan, which would be a triggering mechanism for the city to respond in kind. If that happens, we would be coming to you for an action to go to a level 2. Almost done, last slide. And I mentioned at this time the city will be increasing its education and outreach efforts, and in doing so we have formed a drought team in the water department which will collectively handle drought messaging and education. We have also tapped into the Association of California Water Agencies drought team, and they are helping with messaging statewide. In fact, we were watching a webinar this morning where they had some messages for all agencies in California. There will be some radio announcements that are going to be starting tomorrow during traffic and weather. And to close, I just want to reiterate that Oceanside is not mandating cutbacks. We are, however, promoting wise water practices at all times, regardless of the weather conditions. And we will be communicating with the public frequently, as well as with council, especially if conditions change or water supplies are decreased. And with that, I will take in questions if you have any.
I appreciate it. If you take a seat at the sidebar, and we'll see if there's any questions by the public.
Yes, we have one member of the public wishing to speak on this item. At this time, Joan Brubaker may come forward.
Good evening, Joan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Nice to be here. I guess I better give my name, Joan Brubaker, 1606 Hackamore Road, Oceanside, California. I notice most other people do, but unfortunately most people know me, I guess. It's rather coincidental that what I am about to speak about is definitely along the idea of water. Unless people recently were blind, deaf, unable to speak, and unable to open their eyes, they would be aware of the tragedy that befell Charleston, West Virginia lately. That is a very unfortunate circumstance. Strangely enough, Oceanside itself is faced with almost the same concept of conditions. There are people in this august body tonight who have been affirmative on a project of the dump, the Gregory Canyon dump. This sits atop our aquifer and our river. There has never been a dump that didn't leak. They will call attention to this wonderful liner, but I got a clue for you folks, that only goes 20% at the bottom. 80% at the top is not lined, and there has never, will never be a dump that doesn't leak. This is professed by people who work in the profession, educators who educate our students, and scientists who work along these lines. Don't fool yourself. It won't happen in our lifetimes, but the leak will occur, and when it does, our water supply is going to be seriously jeopardized, if not completely. It will happen either in our children or their children's children. Lifetime. The people who are advocating that it's a good idea will be long gone, just as I will be. But we need to look out for future generations. And I ask the Oceanside voters, when you go to the poll, vote for those people who have not advocated for conditions that are deleterious to life. Animals and humans cannot live without water. It's one of our most important items. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
No further public on this item.
Back to the council. Councilmember Kern.
Thank you. I sit on the San Diego County Water Authority in the last few years that they've been really emphasizing the infrastructure and providing for this emergency or this condition that Director Dale alluded to. So the idea, in addition to the local supplies, and we have transfers from the IID. The last time we were in this situation, this is what drove the agreement with the Imperial Irrigation District to get those water transfers. So the idea, we are in very good shape. You know, we have 2.4 million acre feet in storage. Now, an acre foot is approximately 326,000 gallons. So if you take 2.4 million multiplied by 326,000, that's how much water we have available. So it's not, I know that it's not a dire situation. We provided for it in the long range. We are also looking forward to guaranteeing local supply in the long run. Tomorrow we have an item in front of the Water Authority about a grant application for about $1 million to explore the desalination plant at Camp Pendleton. Hopefully we can bring that online in the near future. So we get more and more weaned off of the Metropolitan Water District supply. So I think all of Southern California realizes that we're in the desert and we're planning for that. So we're in actually much better shape than some of the Bay Area cities which do not have that backup storage. The city of Sacramento immediately imposed water restrictions. I don't know how they're going to enforce it since they don't have water meters, but you know, at least they get to talk about it. So, you know, up there where water was so plentiful for so long, they didn't even meter water. And now they realize that, wait a second, this is a precious resource and we need to keep track of it. So, again, to reiterate what Director Dale says, something you should have been doing all along. You should never waste water. You know, the idea that you should be using it wisely every day, not just in these conditions, but every day, because we have a limited amount of supply, and even though we have a high amount of water and availability, and we're very, I think, water reliability in Oceanside and Southern California is probably, I would say, 4 times better than it was in the early 90s, or the late 90s after the last drought. And that was the wake-up call for everybody to how to reuse and use water. So we are exploring ideas about indirect potable reuse and reusing our aquifer as a sustainable yield. So I commend Director Dale and her staff, and we keep working for it, just as the Water Authority is continuing to work for it. So I'm encouraged by what we've done internally. I am concerned about the long-range aspect of the rainfall that we're going to get. And some people must realize that if you go back and study tree rings in the Sierras, that sometimes California has had 100 years of drought. Hopefully that's not the case this time, but it has happened in the past. So we're going to have to plan accordingly. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I did attend the Utilities Commission meeting last night, and Ms. Dale did give us this presentation, as well as an actual copy of the Governor's proclamation of state of emergency. And I wanted to, there are a couple of the whereases that I think that are things that we need to remember, and that is, whereas extremely dry conditions have persisted since 2012 and may continue beyond this year and more regularly into the future based on scientific projections regarding the impact of climate change on California's snowpack. Another one has to do with the impacts, whereas dry conditions and lack of precipitation present urgent problems. Drinking water supplies are at risk in many California communities. Fewer crops can be cultivated, and farmers' long-term investments are put at risk. Low-income communities heavily dependent on agricultural employment will suffer heightened unemployment and economic hardship. Animals and plants that rely on California's rivers, including many species in danger of extinction, will be threatened, and the risk of wildfires across the state is greatly increased. So those are the things, in one paragraph, really kind of spells out what we're looking at in terms of the future, near term. What the governor, one of the first now, after the now, therefore, in terms of his proclamation, is it is hereby ordered that state agencies led by the Department of Water Resources will execute a statewide water conservation campaign to make all Californians aware of the drought and encourage personal actions to reduce water usage. This campaign will be built on the existing Save Our Water campaign. You may have seen it before on TV. There it is, Save Our Water. And that's saveourh20.org. And will coordinate with local water agencies. This campaign will call on Californians to reduce their water usage by 20%. So that is what's happening at a statewide level. Here, you know, it's almost like we're in a little, like, away from a little bit away from the storm, because of the preparedness that we've had in the region in terms of the storage, and we've been, and the Water Authority, and we also were given a copy of the news release, a press release from the Water Authority, that supplies remain adequate despite statewide drought. But the bottom line is, and the commissioners said and asked that I state this, is that, you know, even though we're going to remain at level 1, which means voluntary, even though it's level 1, the commissioners urged all Oceanside residents to conserve. It went beyond do it wisely. I think we've all been doing that for a while, being very, very conscious not only of the fact that we do live in a desert, but also because of the costs, that water has become such a premium. and the need to continue to ensure that this very public resource remains public and remains affordable to all our residents, be it families, be it seniors. So basically, besides above and beyond use water wisely, the commissioners ask that while we remain at level 1, which is voluntary conservation efforts, commissioners wish to ask the public, our Oceanside residents, to consider reducing water use. Now, reduction still means that your water bills will go down. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like it because, you know, the cost of water, not just based on supply, but also because of the infrastructure, causes water bills to go up even though you're using less. But at this time, at this very specific time, your water bills will go down. So, and that bottom line is that this will ensure that we won't be going to a level 2, that we will remain in level 1. And we are not just Oceanside, and I think the special thing about Oceanside is that residents come from all parts of the world here in Oceanside. We've got people, because of the base, from all over the country, from all over the world, and we do feel like we are, you know, related to the rest of the world, related to the rest of the state. And so I'm asking, as well as the commissioners, that we do try to reduce our water consumption. So there was something else that the commissioners asked that I state, but I'll do that during the make that during my council reports. But thank you.
Gentlemen, anything? All I would add is that we're lucky in Oceanside to have a water director and a council that are pretty savvy about water because we're in a desert here in Southern California. We learned from the last drought. I hope we learn from this one. I won't repeat what the other council members said and deputy mayor, is that, hey, start conserving now, it never hurts. And I remember when we were asked the first time around, everybody in Oceanside did it, and they were fantastic. And they were complimented later by a big, great increase after you did all that hard work. That was the Metropolitan Water District for Los Angeles gave us that rate increase, not down here. But I remember everybody did their fair share and made things great and wonderful. I think we should consider it and lean in that direction that it might be a problem in the future. It is our most valuable commodity that we have in Southern California is water. We're leaning toward smart. We have some desal centers. Oceanside is so unique that we do desal here in Oceanside for about 20% of our own water from the San Jose River. And as Ms. Joan Brubaker said, we're pending a dump up in the Paula Indian Reservation, in which that particular dump, if it ever leaks, would contaminate our water supply and wipe it out completely. So we have some other issues that need to be addressed by you, the citizens of this city and the North County. So I hope you all take it into consideration. With that, I think we've done a pretty good job. I got letters and emails that said I should take the lead on this as the mayor because of the problem. But what I do is turn to my city manager, my city attorney, and certainly my water director and say, how accurate is this? I think the governor did it for a reason. It's not just for something to do. So keep it in mind. Try to do your cutbacks. And remember, the people that don't cut back, you're going to be in that higher tier, paying those higher rates anyhow for the rest of us. So thank you very much. And with that, this is not a voting item, and I appreciate staff's immediate involvement in this. And maybe I ask one last thing. What do we hear about the lawsuit with the Metropolitan Water District on this? I know you all want to hear.
Well, no, actually, it's the trial was over in December, and then they asked for the post-trial briefings were filed with the judge. I think the last one was done on Friday. The judge is coming back tomorrow, and he has a session, and one extreme to another, he can come back tomorrow with a preliminary judgment, or he can come back and say, I want to take 30 or 60 days to think about it. So all the trial action has been done. Just a word of caution, the next round is appeals. If Metropolitan loses, they'll appeal, and if the Water Authority feels that there was not justice in the decision, they will appeal. So this is just the beginning of the lawsuit saga with Metropolitan Water District. And what the mayor is referring to is when we did the transfers with IID is the cost of transporting that water, or the wheeling rates from IID down to the Santa County Water Authority, and the Water Authority feels that they are unjustly overcharged by Metropolitan on those wheeling rates. So that is it gets a little technical, but that's basically the crux of the whole issue, and it'll probably wind its way through the courts for at least the next year or so, and it'll probably end up at the state Supreme Court. I would probably say middle of next year. Just hope, optimistically.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kern. I know that Councilmember Feline and I, the water director, went up in person all the way up to Los Angeles to impress our concerns, and we might as well have not shown up. That's how they thought about us and what we had to say. So it is a big issue, but thank you, Carrie, for keeping them updated on this stuff. With that, we'll go to the next item, which is public comments, I guess.
Yes, we have 5 members of the public wishing to speak on items not on the agenda. First, we have Larry Berry, and second, we have Aaron Bizak.
Thank you very much.
My name is Larry Berry. I live on 3973 Brown Street in the city of Oceanside, and no real particular ideas here today, but I'd just like to share some of the things that I heard. First of all, Tri-City Hospital, good for them. They got awards, and they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on promotional, and they just had a marathon in the city of Oceanside. But in November, I have a lot of friends that were laid off by the city of, by Tri-City Hospital, which were the people that basically change the beds, do the laundry, do all this stuff. They go to my church and everything. And they were laid off because of Obamacare, and they had to went to part-time work. They let them off and went to part-time, so that they didn't have to pay for their health insurance. So maybe they're doing some great things. And all my kids were born at Tri-City Hospital. I'm not a member there. I go to UCSD, but that's something I have a problem with. As far as this is the winter time, and most of the time at this time of year, we're talking about sand replenishment and trying to restore all the sand, and I don't hear any talk about that this year. And I don't know if it put off. There's no big storms out there, although I see the tides have been coming up from the south, coming up, and some big waves and stuff. But I don't see any of the replenishment of sand coming in. And does that come up into the conversation here? I know last year we spent, $600,000 to replenish the sand, and then it disappeared, and I don't know what we're going to have in the future here to get to do that. And my thinking is that if we can hold off till as late as possible, because our big attraction is the beach and vacations and people coming in. The other thing I want to talk about is schools in Oceanside. We just got another report on our schools, and the schools in Oceanside, again, rank at the bottom. I'm hoping with Mr. Steve Jepson, the city manager, we're going to improve our neighborhoods, and our neighborhoods are going to be accountable, and we're going to, if we can improve our neighborhoods, I know we'll improve our schools. And that's a big thing to me in the city of Oceanside, is when we improve our neighborhoods, we're going to improve our schools, and we're going to have a more healthier city. Patrons and people pay taxes, property values go up. I know that's a hard thing for a lot of people to hear, is that we actually want our property values to go up. Oceanside, I was looking on a real estate agents, and thing is, they were talking about Oceanside, and our schools rank right next to Pala Indian Reservation for our compatibility. So let's improve our neighborhoods, we'll improve our schools. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, City Council members, Mr. Jepson, good to see you again. Mr. Beck, thank you for pronouncing my last name correctly. That's a first in a long time. So it's my pleasure to be here. Aaron Bizak. I live at 3644 Harvard Drive here in Oceanside. I work in leadership for UC San Diego Health System, but I'm here tonight on behalf of North Coastal Prevention Coalition. starting my lucky 6th year as president of NCPC. I was going to introduce our incoming president, Ray Pearson. Unfortunately, he had to leave to go to another event. But he will be taking over in July from me. So we are entering into a new era of leadership with NCPC. But tonight I'm talking about an item that is not on the agenda. I'm actually talking about the new Walmart that is coming in up here right across the street from Oceanside High School. We've had conversations with the City Council over the past number of months about our concerns relative to the Walmart. Not because it's a Walmart. We have other Walmarts. We're not against Walmart in any way. But rather because of their sale of liquor so close to the Oceanside High School, actually within 500 feet of the school there. We know that their alcohol density in that area is obviously troubling. Higher incidence of crime in that area, and we know that there is a direct connection between the two things. And we are very concerned, not that Walmart is going to sell alcohol to youth, although that's always a concern with any organization that sells alcohol, but rather what security measures are they taking to make sure that it's not being stolen or things like that, and also what message are we sending to the people in the area, particularly since Walmart has publicly said that one of their goals is to make alcohol as cheap as possible so they could sell all the other things when people come in. So we have been working with Captain Agigi at the City of Oceanside, who's now on the NCPC board, to talk with them behind the scenes. This is approved. It's going to be opening next week. And we welcome a Walmart in the area. We welcome a new supermarket in the area. However, we've been doing outreach to Walmart to say, hey, we'd like to meet with you to talk about some of these things, make sure we're on the same page, and that we're working in conjunction to make sure that the students are safe. And unfortunately, they have not returned any of our calls or emails. And so I'm here today to ask you if you have any influence with the folks at Walmart, to please ask them to give us a call. We're more than willing to meet with them. It will not be an animosity, acrimonious kind of discussion, but rather a public comment period, an opportunity for us to discuss how we might best work together to protect the students in the area and also to protect the community at large. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Mr. Mayor? Yeah, when we did have this presentation before, I do believe Captain Agigi did mention that Walmart was willing to meet with members of the community to discuss further anything else that they could do to meet the concerns regarding like sales of alcohol, in the back. I believe they also agreed to lock some of the hard liquor in the cabinets and some other things, putting stops on them. So I am surprised that we've not been able to get a hold of Walmart, and I'm just wondering if perhaps staff who's working with Walmart can get them to meet with members of the community. I don't know who that would be.
Excuse me.
Apparently they're not returning calls to Tom Agigi either.
If I could get a business card, we'll make sure our contacts get in touch with this individual.
Thank you. Ms. Sanchez, I think it's something that they should deal with the community. I'm not sure they'll listen to us or anybody else, but then again, it never hurts to ask.
Well, apparently they did offer to meet, and the community is definitely interested in meeting with them to address. I think there's just a few remaining concerns, to ensure that alcohol is not served to minors or stolen by minors, I guess.
Thank you.
Our final three speakers are Erica Leary, Tim Broom, and Diane Strader.
Hi.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Erica Leary. I'm the program manager of the North Coastal Prevention Coalition and also a resident here in Oceanside. And I won't reiterate the same points, but my main reason here is to inform the public and the viewers watching at home about alcohol coming to the location right across the street from Oceanside High School. And the public has not been well informed about the fact that beer, wine, and liquor will soon be sold at that location. As you can see from Walmart's own promotional flyer right here, they make no mention of the fact that alcohol will be here. So we hope that this will provide an opportunity to work more in depth with the school, with the community, with Walmart and businesses to do all that we can to prevent underage drinking. I also think it's important for the public to know that because this area is high crime and over-concentrated with alcohol licenses, the city needed to make a declaration of public convenience and necessity for Walmart to move forward in obtaining a license from the state alcohol beverage control. So we would hope that if you're willing to make that declaration, that you also declare preventing underage drinking a matter of public necessity. A recent report to Congress in December of 2013 stated that localities which promote aggressive enforcement and emphasize a commitment to reducing underage drinking through supportive policies make an incredible difference in saving young lives. There are many opportunities for us to continue collaborating and working together to prevent underage drinking. A few that I'd like to share with you this evening. Upcoming, you may be familiar with the San Diego County alcohol policy on preventing underage drinking. Has quarterly meetings. The next one's coming up on February 7th, where we'll have an opportunity to learn from the city of Rohnert Park and the alcohol policies they implemented to reduce alcohol-related problems, as well as costs to their citizens. I'll give this to Zach. And we are also working on hosting a ABC LEAD training program right here in council chambers with OPD and the ABC. That'll be on February 20th. We'll be notifying the business owners and employees. This is a training program that many of our cities up here require. Oceanside does not yet at this time, but that might be a way that we could work together. So again, NCPC's been here for 20 years. We hope to be here for 20 more, if not beyond that, and we hope that we can continue taking steps to prevent alcohol problems. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tim Broom, and I live at 1429 Papin Street in Oceanside. I am a homeowner here, and I pay taxes, and my business is located here. I represent the Eastside Oceanside Airport Subcommittee. On November 13th, I appeared before City Council to talk about the ongoing airport issues which have not been addressed. At the time, Councilmember Sanchez asked why I was not providing the airport with noise complaints, and I was further requested to provide copies of all those written complaints to the city. I have done that. In December, I sent all of the written airport complaints to all members of City Council and airport management. This is what 500 complaints look like from all together. It's about 7 pounds worth of complaints that have been filled out by the volunteers and myself. To this day, I've not received a response from airport management or City Council. I have not even been told that they've been received. I was here 2 weeks ago representing to the Oceanside Planning Commission. They summed it up the way I have for the past 2 years. This problem could be easily solved. And my question is, why hasn't it? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Diane Strader. I live in the East Side. And I also want to talk about the airport. First of all, I'd like to say, since our last time here, this weekend was much better than it has been in several months, maybe even years, which tells me it's possible for the pilots taking their planes out of that airport to be neighborly, friendly, and stay out of the neighborhood. It's possible. If they do it for one weekend, they can do it for every weekend. If you have not had a chance to look at all that stuff that Tim sent to you, I'm just going to give you a bottom total. For all other aircrafts except for one, that represented 288 complaints. For the one airplane that comes out of Tsunami, 205 complaints out of that total.
Wow.
That represents 41.5% of all total complaints come from one aircraft. My concern is that this is a preventable noise and safety issue. Since this area has a preschool, elementary school, as well as 5 churches. And since tsunami tends to fly on the weekend, it affects us all. I was at a neighbor's house for an anniversary party. We were outside, and this was several weeks ago. And the bottom line is we had to stop our conversation because of the airplanes flying over the house. And it was so low that people who were not aware of what goes on in our neighborhood were shocked that they could see that. Short and sweet, but I hope that gives you the information you need to work on it. I'd also like to say I agree with our friend Joan, and I also agree with the folks from NCPC that I hope that you will, in fact, work with Walmart to prevent underage obtaining, not selling, but obtaining liquor from that particular store, and all the other stores that sell liquor in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I just ask the question? Tim, maybe you can answer this. On the tsunami aircraft, is it flying out of the pattern, or is it just, it's not flying the pattern then? Okay, that's all she was, well, actually come and address it because her waving her head doesn't go back on tape.
That's fine. Actually, with that particular plane, which is running, he's operating a business out of the airport. It's kind of hit or miss with that plane. When the complaints started, which is when they began the service, they changed their approach and they began to fly much higher. The response from Airport Property Ventures was, well, we've already been to the FAA and we've received special permission from the FAA. When I contacted the FAA, they said that's absolute nonsense. The only permission they get is when they go above 10,000 feet and they're contacting air traffic control regarding their position.
Okay, I just want to see if it's, because they have a very loud airplane. They have that turboprop, and then the idea that they're flying out of the pattern, that's the problem.
It is, and it's a high-performance plane, as you know, and it's a highly reliable plane.
Well, I hope so, because my wife bought me a skydiving thing for Christmas, so I will fly on the plane and find out.
When you do that, Councilman Kern, I would like to videotape you coming down.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what.
Don't land in East Side.
I think it'd be great entertainment for all of us.
Yeah, well, just hopefully I don't end up into the fence like the one gal did, so.
Thank you.
Can I just give one anecdote? My daughter and I were driving out of our neighborhood, and she says, look, it's tsunami. Well, we were told to get pictures, so I'm digging in my purse. I'm stopped in the middle of the street. Well, I'm stopped in the middle of an intersection, if you really want to know. And I'm looking for my phone so I can take a picture, and I'm digging around, and it's obvious we're doing something strange. And the next thing she says, oh my gosh, look. And the plane was flying towards us, and as I'm fooling around trying to get a picture, the plane goes, sped up, and did I kid you not, a 90-degree turn. So they know.
Yeah, they're very capable of doing that, so thank you.
From my point of view, I'll kick in money for your wife. You can get up there. They don't make a plane big enough to get me in it to be thrown out of it, so good luck to you. On the other hand, at the last public hearing for the airport, we were all there. I talked to the gentleman for tsunami, and I told him, you're the #1 complaint that we get every day. He didn't seem to say yes or no, but I told him. Then I was down at the airport a couple of weeks ago. I personally talked to him, told him that the biggest complaint is his plane that's noisy, and I agree. I think what he's trying to do is, when he comes in for a landing in particular, he flies high and does a great dive down to get down to make a landing where it's not noise, but it doesn't matter. It's just a loud plane.
Yeah, and their problem is on the takeoff, when the plane is at full power, and where it's the noisiest.
What I'm saying is, I agree. I've talked to them twice now, personally, and I'm not sure they understand or care, but that's the issue.
No further public on this item. No more public commentary.
Thank you very much. And what else have we missed besides council reports?
Council reports.
Okay, go ahead.
Mayor Wood.
Thank you very much. Let me see what I have. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of things. Grand opening of Walmart Neighborhood Market. Let's see how that goes for you folks, I know. And that's with January 29th at 1046 Mission Avenue. Quickly on this issue, I agree with the alcohol part of it. I don't drink at all. I don't smoke. I don't do those things, and I'd like to see them address at least the neighborhoods and talk to them. On the other hand, I hope this is going to be a cheap, reasonable market for all the people that live surrounding it, and also we didn't have a market in downtown Oceanside. Small ones, but not a big one. Hope it works out for everybody in the city. The other one, there's going to be a ribbon cutting for the new Naval Hospital at Camp Pendleton facility this Friday, January 31st, not this Friday, January 31st, and it should be great for all of our veterans. I've already had the tour. It's a beautiful, beautiful hospital out there. The other one, a grand opening of the North County Transit Districts. You're probably going to cover this anyhow. That's at San Luis Transit Center on Saturday, February the 1st. That'll be a great for the transportation needs out in the back gate area. One personal issue, if I may. I had somebody put an email on the web for my birthday that's going to be on February the 1st, Saturday. I didn't put it out, somebody else did, but I want to thank all the people who responded. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. It was on the web, and I didn't know that, so thank you very much. Other than that, be safe, have a good one, and yes, I either have a cold or bad allergies, and I apologize for that.
Deputy Mayor Sanchez.
Thank you. As I said, I did attend the Utilities Commission meeting yesterday, and one of the other projects that was presented had to do with actually reviewing an ordinance that we have having to do with private sewer connections, and its staff is working on a request that will be coming to us to recommend adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 29, Article 2 of Oceanside Municipal Code to clarify maintenance responsibilities of homeowners for private sewer connections. So some of the commissioners did raise some suggestions regarding potentially some consumer protection provisions, or looking into, say, some kind of insurance policy for these. Obviously, some of our homes, or parts of our city, some of the homes are getting to be over 50 years old, maybe even over 100 years old, and so the sewer lines are definitely, as we know, the city's responsibility is down, in the middle of the street, and then any connection, therefore, the lateral connections are responsibility of the residents. And I have had several emails, calls, whatever, for residents who have had problems with the sewer breaking, and it's a huge problem, depending on, the inclination of the home, and whether, it starts to back up into the home and things like that. So the staff is going to be looking into it, but this is something that is coming. I believe staff said it was coming in February or March. Is it March? Okay, Ms. Dale is nodding her head, so March. So hopefully whatever, between now and then, perhaps, apparently this is something that came up once before, in maybe 10 years ago or something, and Ms. Dale has actually looked into it for the city of Carlsbad when she worked there, so hopefully we'll have some information to be shared with the commissioners and then also with the council. Other than that, the North County LGBTQ Resource Center here in Oceanside is going to be having a town hall meeting. That's with Max Disposti, who's the executive director, and that is Friday, January 31st, 6:30 to 7:30. It's probably 6:30 to 8:30. I've just put down 6:30 as the start time. And the address is on Coast Highway, and I'm looking for the address really quick. But anyway, 510 North Coast Highway. So Max is doing a wonderful job here in Oceanside in connecting with the North County and on issues of LGBTQ. So anyway, And that's it. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. My dad is turning, let's see, 82, 3. I know. 84.
Wow.
He was born in 1930, so 84, January 31st. So happy birthday, Dad. January 31st. Excuse me, January 28th. What did I say? 31st, 28th. January 28th. He came to Oceanside when he was 7 years old. He's lived here ever since then. He moved one block, okay? He grew up in one on Cole Street, Higgins Street, on one side, of Santa Barbara, and then ended up building his home on the other side, next to the park. So happy birthday, Dad, and many, 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 many more. That's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Feline.
Well, speaking of birthdays, so my wife is having her birthday today. I'm not going to say how old she is, but I'm already in trouble because I promised her the meeting would be over without a doubt before 6 o'clock. So I'll try and do the best I can. One thing I want to point out is I was able to attend with Councilman Feller and Councilman Curd the Martin Luther King breakfast celebration to issue the Community Service Award, and Ray Clendening was the winner for that. And I also wanted to mention also the other nominees. We had Ethel Buchanan and Willie Buchanan, Diane Strader, and Chris Gow, my apologies, and for their wonderful work to the community, and it's great to have people who are that committed. Also, I was happy to join with Councilman Kern to take advantage of a current tax controversy going on in the city of San Diego over their linkage fee to bring some publicity for the city of Oceanside and the fact that whether they have their tax or not, Oceanside is very competitive with alternatives that are available in San Diego. And it was great to be able to speak on the news last Thursday, have an article in the editorial in the paper on Friday, and mention again in the Logan Jenkins column, and I also heard it was discussed widely on the radio. So hopefully, regardless of what happens in San Diego, people will hear about Oceanside, and hopefully it will create someone crunching some numbers and finding out Oceanside's a great place to do business. And I'm always happy as a councilman to fight for jobs and businesses here in Oceanside. Thank you.
Councilmember Feller.
Thank you. I'll help you out here, Gary, and I won't speak regarding anything, so you can look good at home. I just wanted to wish everybody Happy New Year.
Councilmember Crane.
Well, since Gary's already in trouble, we'll just stretch this out for 30 minutes. Actually, just a few things. At the request of the North County Small Farmers, I went down to the county last Friday to testify against the changes in the winery ordinance. I know that's probably not a good subject to bring up tonight, but the idea that there's some changes that were brought forward to the winery ordinance for the boutique or small farm wineries. They just wrote the regulations in 2010, and now they want to change them. So some of the farmers asked me to go and speak against that. So I went there. Hopefully we can make sure that doesn't happen. And it's a kind of complicated deal about outsourcing or offsourcing grapes and wine coming in from someplace else, that they can actually sell it at their small boutique wineries where they get their grapes and online, and their wines online. So that was an interesting public hearing for 2 hours. Also on Saturday, Assembly member Chavez and I toured Pro Kids Golf, and they have 450 kids enrolled in that program. I talked to the mother of one little 8-year-old girl, and she said her daughter would go there every single day if she had a chance. They've actually started allotting times for age groups there because they are so inundated with kids at Pro Kids Golf out there at Municipal Golf Course. They're shooting for 500. So I drive by there every day when I come in, and in the afternoon, it's like little ants all over the their golf course. So that's really a great program out there, and it's, you know, the city partnership with Pro Kids has really seemed to work out. But Gary mentioned the Martin Luther King Prayer Breakfast. Also, I had an opportunity to give a speech to the Latino Business Group of North County and to listen about their concerns and what's happening in North County and businesses, so that they're pretty engaged. You know, it represents a group from Escondido to Oceanside, and what their concerns are about business and how we're going to promote Oceanside, promote North County, so they can get more business to their businesses. Took the tour of the Spring Hill Suites. It's going to be opening in the 4th, something. Yeah, I think the original date was the 14th. I think they're thinking the 11th. They're hoping for the 8th. So we're going to, you know, but it's coming really, really close, and they're doing a lot of work in there. And so the rooms we were into were all finished. The only thing was missing was the bed linens. Spectacular view from the roof. If you can get up on the roof at the pool and look out over that pool to the pier, that is really, really nice. And then their restaurant, which is part of the same group but not the same business, so to speak, Hello Betty, their fish out thing is going to open about a week after the restaurant opens. So that's going to be a really nice venue too. Let's see. Oh, I am working this weekend on the Top Gun house. Ryan, you know, speaking of Spring Hill Suites, Ryan, who is the builder of Spring Hill, is going to paint the Top Gun house. I met with them yesterday afternoon. We've picked out the colors. I'm going to go in on Saturday and do some of the structural work so it looks a little bit better, and they're going to paint that. And they're going to paint it, what we determined was the 1920s color. Bruce Coons, who is the head of SOHO, Save Our Heritage Organization, came up a couple weeks ago when we were fixing the one porch, and we did some halo sanding, and we kind of figured out what the color was. And so that's going to be painted next week. They want to get that painted before they open Spring Hill Suites because you're getting looking straight at it. So that was nice of Ryan to do that, but it's really going to do. And I mentioned this to the mayor earlier before he came down. I have water authority tomorrow, and I will not be back in town until probably 5 o'clock. I am the liaison to Beaches and Harbor, and they always meet at the same time the water authority meets. So I've never been able the last few times to meet and be the liaison I should be to that committee. So I'm asking if anybody up here would like to be on harbors and beaches and to be that liaison. I'm not asking you to give up any assignments. I don't want to trade. I'm just asking if anybody else wants to do that, so they at least get a liaison that they can rely on, because I will never be able to make that meeting. 3 o'clock here at the council chambers.
I'd be happy to take it over.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I mean, you know, the idea that there are a lot of important things coming up. What? Oh, okay.
3 o'clock, 3:30.
And then the last thing is, and the mayor already mentioned, the Walmart's opening January 29th, 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you want to be there early. And it is one of these things that ever since we've been on the council that we've been hearing about having a full-service grocery store west of I-5. I know we talked about the liquor part of that, but that's not a big part of their business model. The big part of their business model is being a full-service grocery store, which was desperately needed in this area. So hopefully we'll get over those minor issues and work on from there. So anyway, thank you, and I'm done.
Well, I think I can defer to our rep here, but what are you referring to, our meeting? We have the one that we've had forever for the past 10 years. Yeah.
The way I think weighted votes are almost 40%.
Right, yeah, they're weighted at 40% in the bylaws at a maximum.
The county's 40%.
But
I will try and save my marriage.
Trying to make